Miller Field, part of Miller Park. A cross-county collision between Utah Valley at 1924 and BYU at 29 and 20. Wherever and however you are connected, great to have you with us on BYU TV alongside Gary Scheide. I'm Spencer Linton. We just showed you what BYU did against Utah State. They rebounded against St. Mary's. What you didn't see is that yesterday the Cougars traveled to Cedar City and unloaded on the Thunderbirds, probably with one of their best offensive performances of the season. They're hoping those bats show up today at home.
Well, they've been so hot. 31 runs in the last 2 games. But now you look at Utah Valley. They've won 9 of the last 11, and they're going to be second place in the WAC tournament with a bye. So they're playing good softball also.
Competing for a conference championship, no doubt. That takes us to our impact performers, and we'll be led off by Lindsay Steverson, the sophomore out of Mesa, Arizona. What do you like most about her game, Gary?
Well, she went 5 for 8 in a 3-game sweep over CSU Bakersfield, which included 2 singles, a double, and 2 home runs. Also scored 2 runs and knocked in 3. She has a .322 average, leads the team with 31 runs batted in, and is tied for the team lead with 6 home runs.
For BYU, we turn our attention to the reigning West Coast Conference Player of the Year, Caitlin Aldridge, who hasn't done as much as she had hoped for coming off that glorious year, but her bat has shown up in a big way in her last 2 games.
Well, she's had an incredible back-to-back games. In the last victory over St. Mary's, she had a Grand Slam home run and knocked in 5 runs. Yesterday against Southern Utah, she hit another Grand Slam, an additional home run, and batted in 6 runs.
Our keys to the game brought to you by Tim Daly Ford of Spanish Fork. Tim Daly Auto Group serving Utah since 1968. What do the Wolverines do or need to do today, Gary, to get the upset win on the road?
Well, they need to battle back of trailing. UVU fell behind in both games of the doubleheader against CSU Bakersfield and came back to win each game. And top 4 production. In the bookend victories against Bakersfield, the top 4 batters combined to go 11 for 24, but in the 2-1 victory, they were just 1 for 11.
And for the BYU Cougars to hold serve on their home field.
They'll circle success. The BYU pitching staff gave up just 1 run and 8 hits during the St. Mary's 3-game series, and all home. BYU had 10 different players score at least 1 run in the final 13-1 victory over St. Mary's, a total team effort.
Well, you said it, Gary. 31 runs over the last 2 games for BYU, a 13-1 victory over St. Mary's, and an 18-4 win at Southern Utah in a rare Monday showcase. That takes us to our starting lineups today, led off by the visitors. From nearby Orem, Utah, correction, we'll go with the fielders for BYU first. The catcher behind home plate is the always sensational Libby Sugg out of Franklin, Tennessee, one of the best players, if not the best player in the West Coast Conference. Madison Merrill gets the start at first base. Brielle Breland at second base. Alexis Dridd, the shortstop. Caitlin Aldridge, and her usual spot at third. In the outfield from left to right, Riley Jensen, Brooke Vanderhyde, and Lexi Terrell. The starting pitcher for BYU, wearing number 33 in those royal blue tops, Carissa Viramontes, 1.92 earned run average. She's got over 127 innings of work this season. She's 15-6 and doing a nice job stepping into some rather large shoes left behind by the all-time great pitcher, McKenna Bull. Now for the Utah Valley Wolverines. Coached by TJ Hubbard in his 2nd season. We already mentioned the success that they're enjoying this year as the right now number 2 seed in the Western Athletic Conference. Leading off will be Brianna Moeller in left field. Skylar Cook, the center fielder. Peyton Angula will bat third and play at first. The aforementioned Lindsay Steverson bats cleanup. She starts at second. Beja Query is the starting catcher. Madison Cisco will be today's designated player for the Wolverines. Kaylee Bott at third base. Kara Morris in right field, and Carly Bunderson batting 9th and playing shortstop. The head coach for the BYU Cougars in his 16th season with the team is Gordon Eakin. Has taken BYU to 13 consecutive NCAA tournaments and has won 9 straight conference championships, 634 wins total to just 291 losses. That 634th victory coming in blowout fashion on Monday in Cedar City against Southern Utah. And we mentioned TJ Hubbard, the head coach at Utah Valley, has his team off to a 19-24 campaign, 10-4 in WAC play. And this team would love nothing more than to pick up win number 20 on the season against their cross-county rival BYU. First pitch moments away from Gail Miller Field. No baseball game tonight, so all eyes on the softball side of things here. And as we mentioned near the top of the broadcast, this is the final non-conference stint for BYU. They will head out of town back in West Coast Conference play for a trifecta of games at San Diego before returning home to what looks like will determine the conference championship and a 3-game series with the Lions of Loyola Marymount. Brianna Moeller into the batter's box on the left side facing Carissa Viramontes, and she is hit by the first pitch of the game, so Utah Valley needs exactly 1 attempt from the circle to place their opening batter on base.
Well, you can see that Viramontes was trying to come inside, but a lot of pain with Brianna there. Just took it right kind of on the hand, wrist area. Just keep shaking it and trying to, you know, get it back to a little bit feeling normal. But that's a tough pitch when you hit the batter on the first pitch. Usually that's not a good sign, Spencer.
Same effect as a leadoff walk, if you will. Skylar Cook now with a runner on base. Moeller at first after taking that first pitch, still shaking that right hand as she stands on the bag. Cook down 0-1 in the count to Carissa Viramontes. And the bunt attempt is fouled into the dirt behind home plate.
Well, an interesting statistic. I was talking a little bit with James Warnick, the assistant SID from University of Utah Valley, and he told me that the record was set by Kirsten Anderson, who's not playing tonight, for all time being hit by a pitch, and she's been hit 17 times. So, you know, these girls are setting records here that you want to think, well, who wants to beat that record?
Yeah, no thanks. You can have that record. There are others that we can all strive for. Granted, shows the toughness of these young ladies that play softball at the NCAA Division I level. Skylar Cook has worked the count to now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Moeller on first. She is the 6th hit batter on the season by Carissa Viramontes.
And there's another batter, Taylor Williams, is right behind getting hit by hits. She's been hit 16 times. So, yeah, a lot of hit by pitches by these Utah Valley batters.
Correction on that hitter's count. It's now 2 balls and 2 strikes as Cook watches that rise ball miss high and outside. Our scorebox sponsor tonight, Brady Industries, a provider of commercial cleanings and supplies. That's blooped into left field. BYU's defense well prepared, and they had scouted Cook, so they had Riley Jensen shallow left field. She came in to rob Cook of what otherwise would have been a base hit to advance the runner. There is 1 down here in the top of the first, bringing Peyton Angulo, the first baseman for the Wolverines, into the box. Angulo batting .358. That is a team best. Also hitting from the left side. 11 doubles, that's tied for the team high with Beja Query. Having an outstanding freshman campaign out of Upland, California, and she's going to add to that. Another base hit through the gap at first and second. And that'll place runners on first and second with 1 down here in the top of the first. Angulo with the first hit of the game, advancing Moeller over to second.
Well, that was a really beautiful swing that time. That pitch was a little bit up in the zone, and Angulo just really turned on it and ripped a shot between the first base and second base.
39 hits on the season now for the freshman Peyton Angulo. In steps Steverson for her first at-bat at the cleanup spot for Utah Valley. .322 hitter, 6 home runs. And has 2 Wolverine teammates on base. 1 ball and 1 strike to Steverson. Utah Valley threatening to score here in the top of the first.
Yeah, like we talked in the stand-up, boy, great series for Steverson against Bakersfield. 5 for 8 in the 3-game sweep, including a couple home runs.
Carissa Viramontes will be held up in the pitcher's circle. Home plate umpire tonight, Brett Higgins. Signals that there are 2 balls and 1 strike. That was not correct on the scoreboard, so they will take care of that. And here comes Viramontes with the 2-1. That misses. Ball 3. Hitters count for the cleanup batter, Steverson. I mentioned this is the final non-conference tilt for BYU. Such is the case for Utah Valley as well. 3-1. Steverson takes a good rip at that. It's fouled out of play. And that'll take us to a full count. Moeller on second. She led out the inning being hit by the first pitch of the game. She was moved over to second base by Peyton Angulo on a single with 1 out. And here we are, full count, 1 down. And Steverson draws the walk. Bases loaded situation for Carissa Viramontes.
And there's only 1 out here, so you can see Libby Sugg going out with all the rest of the infielders and going to talk a little bit, trying to calm Carissa Viramontes down a little bit there. But to hit a batter and walk a batter, that's not what you typically see out of Viramontes. But this is, this is an in-state rivalry. It's a crosstown clash, and both these teams will do what they can to get this victory with bragging rights for the rest of the year.
2 years ago, we watched this Utah Valley team come into Provo and no-hit BYU and walk away with a 13-0 victory. The losing pitcher in that game, no less, was the all-time great McKenna Bull.
Yeah, and just last week we saw Utah State come in here, hit a grand slam and win 4-2. So in-state rivalries in the past have given BYU a little difficulty.
Beja Query, the batter. Check swing there to take the count to 1-1 with 1 down and a bases loaded situation for Carissa Viramontes. She just surrendered her 57th walk of the season to put Steverson on first. Ball popped up out of play just over the screen on the right side. And the count now to 1-2. Beja Query, another hitter over 300 on the season. The 3, 4, 5 batters for Utah Valley, all capable. Query at 326. That takes 1 hop in the dirt, 2-2. Golden opportunity for Query, the sophomore out of Henderson, Nevada. Inside corner, strike 3. Big time response by Carissa Viramontes for out number 2.
Well, Beja knew it too. This was a pitch right on the inside part of the plate. Look how she kind of crowds the plate there and comes right inside on the hands. And that was just a really outstanding pitch that time by Viramontes.
2 down now, bases still loaded. Madison Cisco, the designated player, charged with the responsibility of bringing in what she hopes is 1, if not multiple runs here to give Utah Valley the desired start. Cisco takes a strike, 1-1. No, that's low for ball 2. Now, one of the things you'll notice about the home plate umpire, Brett Higgins, is his delayed reaction to most pitches.
Yeah, what he does is he calls it on the field so you know. He'll say strike, and then the hand will go up about a half a second to a second later. So you can hear it on the field, but up from broadcasting, you're not sure sometimes what the call is.
2 balls and a strike, 2 down, bases loaded. Madison Cisco facing Carissa Viramontes. Slaps at that pitch. One hops it back into the dugout. No problem for the BYU pitching coach, Pete Meredith, who nonchalantly puts up his right paw, grabs that, and throws it back into play. 2-2. The 2-2 to Cisco. And that misses inside, full count.
Well, big pitch here early in the game, full count. Bases loaded, nowhere to put her.
Payoff pitch. Fouled back into the screen and will do it all again.
Cisco had a good swing at that. Boy, she was just underneath it. The pitch was up in the zone a little bit and just in the zone. And you can see the fan behind there is ducking.
Well, he's focused on his hot dog. Keep your head on a swivel there, sir. Full count. Cisco once again to Viramontes, and the first run of the game is walked in. Madison Cisco gets the better of Viramontes. It's 1-0 Utah Valley.
Well, that's a close pitch right here. And it looked like Libby Sugg thought that they had her out, but watch the location here. Inside corner.
That ball tailing away. It started on a trajectory that looked like it might find the strike zone.
Yeah, it was just kind of a riding fastball just coming in on the hands there, and it was close.
So the bases remain loaded with 2 down after Viramontes gives up her 58th walk of the season, bringing in the first run of the game. Moeller scores. Remember, way back when, she took the first pitch of the game off of her hand and was awarded first base. 0-2 to Kaylee Bott now. All things considered, if Viramontes can escape trailing only 1-0, then BYU should feel very fortunate. Bott on the 0-2, swinging and missing. 2 strikeouts in an interesting top half of the first inning. Utah Valley with an early lead in Provo. Stay with us.
The BYU Sports Nation guys check out the BYU store. Hey, before you hit someone with that football, take a look around at all the great BYU gear from Nike. Hoodies, exercise wear, sweaters, t-shirts, all the stuff an active sportscaster needs. Spencer, that one is actually for your better half. No, not Jerem, your wife. The BYU store, keeping Jerem and Spencer looking great, and proud to sponsor BYU Sports Nation on BYUtv and BYU Radio.
On a Kenyan reserve, armed guards protect Sudan, the last male northern white rhino on the planet. Celebrity doesn't faze this rhino or his devoted caregiver.
We take great care of him just like elderly people.
As the curious visit, a dramatic rescue plan unfolds to save Sudan's kind.
We're racing against time. We're trying to make sure these animals continue to exist.
Utah Valley takes an early 1-0 lead over BYU, benefiting on being hit by a pitch, couple of walks, and a timely hit. 1-0, which will bring up BYU to try and respond here in the bottom half of this opening frame. In the field for the visiting Utah Valley Wolverines, the catcher is Beja Query and Gulo at first, Steverson at second, Bunderson the shortstop, and Kaylee Bott at third base. In the outfield, Moeller in left, Cook in center, and Kara Morris gets the nod in right field. Lauren Fraley-Spendlove is the starting pitcher for the Wolverines, 6.73 earned run average, 4-4 this season, and she will take on Riley Jensen to begin. Jensen leading off, followed by Breland and Taro. Those three do up this inning. If it comes to it, Libby Sugg will bat in the number 4 spot. Fleener batting 5th, Strid 6th, Merrill, Aldridge, and Vanderheid 7, 8, 9, and Jensen leads off the game with a single up the middle.
Boy, is she getting hot. She went 8 for 12 against St. Mary's and last night combined. That's 666 as an average, and that ball just kind of down the middle of the plate, goes up the middle with it. So now she is, boy, that's a 9 for 13 in her last 13 at-bats, just seeing the ball well.
Jensen has extended her hit streak to 8 games. That'll bring up Brielle Breland. And Breland on a line into center field. That gets to the fence. Jensen trucking around second. She'll be held up at third by Gordon Eakin. And a single is followed up by a double. BYU with runners in scoring position at second and third and no outs on the bottom of the first.
Well, you can see Breland fakes a bunt. And that pitch wasn't bad. It's down at the knees, but it caught a little bit too much of the plate. And it was ripped over the head of center fielder Skylar Cook for a double. And the BYU, well, you look at the last 2 games, the hitting standpoint, Spencer, they had innings like this. Against St. Mary's, 4 runs in the second, 8 in the third. And against Southern Utah, 6 in the first and 8 in the second. I mean, those are huge numbers of runs in 1 inning.
Lexi Taro into the box. RBI opportunity for the number 3 batter in tonight's BYU lineup. Jensen on third. She singled to begin the bottom half of the first. Moved over on a double by Brielle Breland. Taro now down on the count 0-2.
Lexi was 2 for 4 yesterday, scored 2 runs and batted in 1. 18 hits by BYU yesterday.
And the bunt down in the box. Taro's going to be retired because she could not successfully execute that bunt. It goes foul, and there is 1 down. Runners remain on second and third.
Well, you can see it puts a little spin on the ball. It pretty much dies, but it dies in foul territory there, a little bit off to the left. So you bunt the 3rd strike, and it's a foul, it'll go as a strikeout.
First strikeout for Fraley. Cleanup batter for the Cougars, Libby Sugg, batting an even .400 this season. 52 hits to lead the team, 9 doubles. That's tied for a team lead, and 10 home runs. Leads all Cougars. Her slugging percentage, astronomical. It's .700. Her on-base percentage is .503.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And against Southern Utah, she was a perfect 3 for 3. So that raises that percentage up a little bit. Scored a couple runs and had a double. Leads the team with 10 home runs, but she's getting followed closely by Caitlin Aldridge, who has 9.
And Aldridge, her last 2 home runs, both grand slams. Or should I say 2 of the last 3 home runs she's hit have been grand slams. 3 home runs over the last 2 games. 3-1, hitters count, 2 on. Sugg! Take a good look, you won't see it for long. That ball is absolutely crushed.
Well, in that situation, you had first base open. So we were thinking maybe Lauren Fraley Spendlove would try to walk Sugg and pitch one outside and make the chase. But that ball came right down the middle of the plate. And as Coach Littlewood on the baseball team refers to it as cookies. That was a cookie right there, right down the middle of the plate in the power alley of Libby Sugg. And she hit it up in the light. She probably won't even be able to see this thing land. It went up almost in the lights. By the time it comes down, it's probably close to 300 foot for a 3-run home run.
A moonshot for Libby Sugg to give BYU the lead back. 3-1 in the bottom of the first, clearing the bases. There's 1 down.
When you look at a ball rising, once it gets to the fence, you know that ball was hit well. And that ball was up around the lights and went over into the field beyond Gail Miller Field here, where they're practicing a little bit of rugby out there and disrupted play out there.
Libby Sugg now has 58 runs batted in on her 11th home run of the season. 58 runs batted in. Now, just to put that in perspective, the next closest teammate is Caitlin Aldridge, who has 32. It's almost double.
Yeah, she's just had a phenomenal year.
Bridget Fleener takes the ball on the back, and she will be granted first base.
Oh, look at Bridget tries to turn here. Exactly what you're supposed to do, turn away from the ball. And no chance. It was on her in, about middle of the back area. And that's kind of sore. You see her flexing her back there. That'll leave a bruise right there. I'll tell you that.
Fleener, the lone freshman in the regular starting lineup, at least as far as bats go for Gordon Eakin, now at first. Still only one out. Alexa Strid, the senior shortstop, takes strike one.
A good pitch that time by Lauren Fraley-Spenlove. Nice changeup.
Fleener has reached base successfully in 9 straight games. I doubt she envisioned reaching a base the way she got there tonight, but that's the reality, and she is wearing the bruise to prove it. 0-2 to Strid with 1 down. Curveball misses just outside for ball 1.
And you could see the dislike on the face of Alexa Strid after that last strike 2 call. Thought it was a little bit low, and she just kind of walked away with a little wry smile.
Strid patiently watching that ball dip low in the zone. 2-2.
Strid was perfect yesterday. 3 for 3, knocked in 2 runs, and scored a run.
When you put up 18 runs, you're going to see a lot of that. Strid, the comebacker. Could be a double play opportunity, but Strid will easily beat out what wasn't even an attempted throw. Fleener is retired at second for out number 2, so Strid reaches on the fielder's choice.
Well, that was a nice play that time by Bunderson, the shortstop, because that throw by Spenlove was way up the line toward the second base side. And she had to try to keep her foot on the base. No way to try to turn it a double play, but just to keep her foot on the base to get the force was a good job.
Madison Merrill will try and extend the inning for BYU. With Strid on first, 3 runs across for BYU, thanks to a 3-run blast over the left center field fence by Libby Sugg. Her 11th home run of the season, 1-0. And Merrill takes the strike to make it 1-1. The 1-1 to Merrill is lined but caught at second base by Steverson, and that will retire the Cougars in the bottom of the first. 3-1 BYU, powered by the cleanup batter, Libby Sugg. Stay with us.
When the Sports Nation guys do a show at Deseret First Credit Union, you never know which BYU Sports VIP might show up.
That's the Cosmobile. The Cosmobile's rolling up, baby. Woo! Cosmo's here!
Hey, maybe Cosmo needs a student checking account or a soda inside.
This has already been the best In a Minute ever. Ever. Go bump that music, Cosmo.
Deseret First Credit Union, proud to support BYU Sports Nation on BYU Radio and BYU TV.
They live along the South African coastline, and their habitat next to humans puts these African penguins in harm's way.
We've run out of space, basically.
But a team of specialists is dedicated to helping them survive.
Doing absolutely everything in our power to save that bird.
It's the Uplifting series about the efforts to rescue this extraordinary species, Penguin Hospital.
BYU Softball on BYUtv is brought to you by Tim Daliato Group, serving Utah since 1968. Brady Industries, honestly better. And by AAA. Learn more at AAA.com.
Different day, more of the same for the BYU softball offense. They put up 3 runs in the bottom of the first, thanks to a 3-run home run by Libby Sugg. We'll move to the top of the second. Utah Valley trying to answer back. They scored first on a walk by Carissa Viramontes in a bases-loaded situation. Carol Morris, the right fielder, to lead things off for the visiting Wolverines, takes ball 1.
Kara's a sophomore. Her hometown is Iwa Beach, Hawaii. Went to James Campbell High School. Eva Beach.
Jammed inside. And that might just be the easiest out of the night for this BYU defense. Falling gently into the glove of Viramontes just in front of the pitcher's circle. And there's one down here in the top of the second.
When you get into baseball, Major League Baseball, they never let the pitcher catch the ball. If the ball goes right to him, everybody will come in and someone else will make the catch. But when you get in softball here, these pitchers are some of your best athletes. When it comes right to them, they make the catch just like like you think someone would.
Carly Bunderson, shortstop, tried to bunt that ball down and get on a run. She'll end up with a strike.
Carly is 9 for 38 on the season. She's a shortstop. And all of her hits have been singles.
She has appeared now, including today, in 35 games, making her 18th start for head coach TJ Hubbard. The 0-2. Outside ball one.
Yeah, one thing about Carly, too, is she's extremely fast. She's 5 for 5 in stolen bases, but in high school, she ran the 100-meter, the 200-meter, and the 400-meter. And her team won 3 regional championships and went on to a state championship in 2014, so extremely fast.
2 balls, 2 strikes now from Viramontes to Bunderson. The Wolverines have won 4 of their last 5, including that sweep of CSU Bakersfield. Of course, the game here tonight at BYU, they'll finish up with 3 against WAC opponent Nevada on the road in Reno, and then the WAC tournament takes place between May 9th and 12th in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
And the good thing for UVU, as I was speaking with James Warnock, the SID, they have a bye. There's 6 teams in the Western Athletic Conference. First place team, second place team, they have a bye. So 3 plays 6 and 4 plays 5, and Utah Valley will then have a chance to play the winner of the 3-5 game. So there's the standings right there, and UVU is just a half game above Seattle there.
Bunderson on a full count, stays alive. Pokes that ball down the left field line into the stands. 1 down, 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody on for Utah Valley. They trail BYU 3-1 in the top of the second inning. Viramontes pitching in the circle for BYU. Grounded to Stritt at first, and not a great throw, but a good collect at first base by Merrill, and she holds on for out number 2.
Yeah, it was a very good stretch that time. Alexis Stritt just has a gun for an arm, and you saw how quickly she got rid of it, got it over there fast. It was a little offline, and Madison Merrill made a nice stretch and held her foot on the base to get the speedy Carly Bunderson.
Back to the top of the order for Utah Valley, Brianna Moeller. She scored the lone run for Utah Valley, being forced in via the walk in a rather interesting top half of the first for Carissa Viramontes. She dealt with 2 different bases loaded situations, ended up striking out 2 and giving up the 1 run. Moeller behind that pitch, slicing foul, 0-2.
Brianna went to North Canyon High School, Phoenix, Arizona. She was the Offensive Player of the Year in 2015 and the Defensive Player of the Year in 2014, and helped her high school team make the state playoffs for the first time in 11 years, and she also played volleyball.
The 0-2. Just got a piece, did Moeller. Viramontes searching for strikeout number 3. And in doing so would end the top of the second. Another 0-2. Moeller reaches, good piece of hitting by the left fielder as she picks her spots in shallow right field, drops it in there for a 2-out single. Second hit of the game for Utah Valley.
Well, that was a changeup, and you can see she kept her hands back and just kind of poked it over the infield right there. You can see why Moeller's hitting 364 They're leading the team in average there. That was a really good piece of hitting.
45th hit of the season for Brianna Moeller, which will allow Skylar Cook her second at-bat of the game.
Come on, Sky. Slow the feet down, Sky.
Cook is hands down the most dangerous base runner that Utah Valley has. 22 for 22 in stolen base attempts.
Yeah, and that's a record for Utah Valley for successful steals without being thrown out. 24 is the most, but 22 for 22. The one that stole 24 was 24 for 25 in stolen bases. So perfect on the season, 22 for 22.
Cook gets a piece of that pitch from Viramontes, but it's poked foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 down. Runner on first is Brianna Moeller, who singled with 2 outs. The Wolverines trying to cut into a 3-1 BYU lead. On the 1-2, and Riley Jensen will make the sliding catch on her knees in shallow left field. We've seen Jensen rob a couple of would-be base hits, playing shallow and left.
The Missionary Starter Package at Mr. Mac includes 1 wool blend 2-pant suit, 4 wrinkle-free dress shirts, 4 washable ties, and a pair of Echo or Johnson & Murphy walking shoes. The Missionary Starter Package at all 10 Mr. Mac stores.
My proposal will go exactly the way I planned it will.
My dead body! I think somebody needs a timeout.
Oh, that's the power of one. Next time on Father Brown.
This part of the railway has been losing money for 20 years.
After a railway station is informed of its closure, the station master is killed. And Inspector Mallory is certain he has the killer.
Quite literally, an open and shut case.
But when Father Brown investigates, he and Bunty get themselves into real trouble.
Well, we can't go that way.
Father Brown.
Our BYU Store Sports History Showcase brought to you by the official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere, the BYU Store. Utah Valley at BYU. Rewind to April 26th of last year. The Cougars won 12-4 in 6 innings, but it was a little strange. Utah Valley took a 4-0 lead early on. BYU, in comeback fashion, put together 12 consecutive runs. McKenna Bull, as a relief pitcher, also uncommon, answered the call of Gordon Eakin and her pitching coach Pete Meredith for 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, allowed just 1 hit in her relief pitching time.
Yeah, well, after Utah Valley jumped ahead, they brought the Dream Crusher in, and you can see the difference. When she throws, not many people get hits against her, and she was so fun to watch. I miss watching McKenna out here, but we're happy for her. We found out she's found a home in Italy and playing some professional softball over there.
Now batting the red-hot senior for BYU, Caitlin Aldridge, who has 3 home runs, 2 grand slams in her last 2 games, pacing BYU to lopsided victories over St. Mary's 13-1 and 18-4 over Southern Utah. 2-0 count in there for a strike, now 2-1.
Well, it's an incredible statistic to go 3 for 4 with 11 RBIs in your last 4 hits. I mean, very rarely you're going to see that kind of number.
Now 3-1 as that ball is inside and low from the starting pitcher for Utah Valley, Fraley. Aldridge draws a walk in her first at-bat, down to first, and the leadoff batter is safely on for BYU once again.
Well, that time Spendlove was really kind of out of the zone on every pitch, hoping that Caitlin Aldridge would go for it. But Caitlin's just seeing the ball so well lately. She's willing to take a walk for the team, and we'll see if Brooke Vanderhyde lays it down here, which she probably will.
Lauren Fraley Spendlove, the senior from Tooele, Utah, in the pitcher's circle for the Wolverines, facing Brooke Vanderhyde.
the one thing about Vanderhyde bunting, she has almost a 75% chance of beating it out because she's so fast. And she just really deadens the ball about 4 or 5 feet in front of home plate, making it tough for anybody to make a play.
Vanderhyde again squaring around. Prototypical slap hitter. Makes a living getting on base, though she too, like Caitlin Aldridge, feeling a little bit of the blues from not having produced as much offensively as they expect themselves to. 1-1, low to Vanderhyde for ball 2. Aldridge on first, 2-1 to Vanderhyde. Slapped at, hit to short, and Aldridge will be thrown out just in the nick of time as she was sliding into second. Vanderhyde reaches on the fielder's choice, 1 down in the bottom of the second.
Well, you can see the ball kind of pops out of the mitt of Carly Bunderson there. She gathers it fairly quickly and throws over to Steverson covering the bag at second. But there's no way that Bunderson would have been able to throw out Vanderhyde on that ground ball. Just Vanderhyde's too quick, gets out of the box too quickly.
Riley Jensen, Vanderhyde stealing second. That throw is offline. And BYU with a runner in scoring position. Beja Query on the throwdown just to the left of Bunderson, who was covering from short. Backed up, Vanderhyde now at second, and Riley Jensen as an RBI chance for BYU to extend their 3-1 lead.
And on the season, that's a perfect 6 for 6 in stolen bases for Vanderhyde.
Jensen singled up the middle in her first at-bat. Was on base when Sugg hit that 3-run home run to bring us to where we are now at BYU leading 3-1. Jensen pulls that ball to second base. Vanderhyde will advance to third on the out as Steverson retires Jensen at first. 2 down. BYU with a runner on third. And Brielle Breland, who doubled into center field in her first plate appearance, back into the box.
Breland yesterday against Southern Utah was 2 for 3. Also included a double. Knocked in 2 runs and scored 2 runs.
Breland, knowing full well a base hit will give BYU a 3-run advantage. Vanderhyde on third. We talked about her offensive struggles. She joked on social media on her Twitter account that last game that we called on BYUtv against St. Mary's, she checked her watch at first base after she got a hit and said, well, when you're 0 for 1,000, you got to check your watch and say, you know, it's about time.
I like that. I like that. You look at this pitch right here. Again, trying to come on the inside part, but it drops right the last second there, so a little bit out of the zone.
And now 3-0 to Breland.
Well, Breland's got such power. I mean, she's sitting right now at number 3 on the team in home runs. She's got 7. And Libby with her home run today has 11, and Aldridge has 9. So those 3 have tremendous power.
4 pitches, all missing the zone, and Breland draws a 2-out walk to put runners on the corners. So BYU will send up Lexi Taro. And perhaps this is just what Lauren Fraley-Spenlove wanted, was not to give Breland something to hit, but to go after Lexi Taro.
Yeah, well, Lexi made an out her first time up, but against Southern Utah, again, she had a great game, 2 for 4.
Well, and for Taro, while she doesn't necessarily bring the power that Breland does in that number 2 spot, she's a .353 hitter. She does have 4 home runs and 9 doubles. second best batting average on the team, so pick your poison, if you will. And Taro takes a strike, 1-1.
Well, when you got a batter behind you with the ability of Libby Sugg, you're going to see a lot of good pitches because they can't afford to walk you and face Libby. So you're going to see a lot of good pitches, and Tara has, and she's been successful. 353 average, extremely good. 9 doubles, tied for the lead on the team. And she actually has the second most runs batted in. She's got 30 to Libby Sugg's 58.
The 1-2 to Taro. And she stays alive. Interesting at bat right here. BYU with a 3-1 lead. But against St. Mary's, they did a lot of their damage with 2 outs and really took a stranglehold in all 3 of those games by making the pitchers work late into the count. Taro. Check throw down to third as that ball misses outside. In the mix of that, Breland will take second base. So both runners now in scoring position, not a surprise. Common move in NCAA softball to taunt the defensive team into going down, and that gets through the wickets of the shortstop Bunderson. And Lexi Taro will be credited with a run batted in. It's 4-1 BYU.
Well, that ball might have been out number 3. Good speed by Taro, but watch this, goes right under the mitt and between the legs of shortstop Carly Bunderson. Allows a run to score, and that'll be an unearned run. 2 outs here.
Here's the cleanup hitter and catcher,
Bottom of the
Libby
second.
Sugg.
Registered right now as the 4th hit for BYU, Libby Sugg.
But that cannot be a hit. You cannot hit a ball between a player's leg.
And have it not go as an error?
Yeah, that's, well, I'd like to bat for that scorekeeper. That's some home cooking there.
Sugg takes a good swing at that pitch, fouls it back into the screen, 1-1. She was given a delicious rising fastball in the middle of the zone that she quickly disposed of over the left center field fence. And the runner will go. And BYU, just like we were talking about, Gary, this is a calculated move that we see often in NCAA softball. The Cougars have Breland score from third. The runner steals second, and Utah Valley, I think the approach there was to have the throw cut off short and be able to throw home in time to try and get Breland. It did not. It backfired in a big way.
Well, you're exactly right, Spencer. What you do out there, Bunderson and Steverson, shortstop and second baseman, both converged at second base. One's got to come in front to be the cutoff, and one's got to make the tag. And they've got to talk about this beforehand if that situation happens. Well, that time they both went to make the tag, and they kind of bumped into each other out there, and the ball went between them, and another run, unearned run, comes across.
So they'll figure that out in the scorebook. BYU now leading 5-1. The scoreboard is showing 4-1. And Sugg delivers extra bases down the right field line. Taro will score, and Sugg with a stand-up double, 6-1 BYU. And BYU continues to do damage with 2 outs on the board.
Well, that was a good pitch that time by Spenlove, outside part of the plate. But you see Libby just covers all the territory. Her home run went to left center. She has the ability to push it out to the right field area, which she did there, about three feet inside the foul line on right field, ends up with a double. So she uses all the field, has tremendous power. Yeah, in my mind, she's just, she's one of the best catchers in the country.
4th RBI of the game for Libby Sugg. 59 RBIs on the season. The scoreboard has not updated due to the chaos here ensuing. Now it has. BYU has equaled the 3 runs they put up in the bottom of the first with 3 here in the second. It is 6-1. 2 balls and no strikes to Bridget Fleener with Sugg on second. And Fleener, if that's fair, it's gone for a very long, emphatic strike 1.
Fleener's got 3 home runs on the year. You see it up there in the graphic, getting 351. That ball was freshman from Camarillo, California. First pulls the ball just foul out of the ballpark down the right field line, and then comes right back and puts it into the left center gap. So using all parts of the field. And these Cougars, I'll tell you what, when you get 18 hits in 5 at-bats, 18 runs prior to this game, and you're scoring 7 in the first 2 innings against St. Mary's, they scored 12 in the first 3 innings. It's like murderer's row. Who do you want to face? You know, I mean, you almost want to walk everybody, and then nobody's going to get a hit. But this is such a potent lineup for Coach Eakin, and they're coming together just at the right time.
6th hit of the game for BYU, and we are through an inning and 2/3. From a defensive standpoint for Fraley Spenlove, who remains in the game, now facing Alexa Strid.
Yeah, the problem from a pitching standpoint for the opponent, there's no weaknesses. There's nobody in this lineup that you say, okay, I'm going to try to walk this person or get around him to go to the next one. There's no weaknesses, so it just gets very tough on a pitcher.
Strid, the comebacker. Fraley, no trouble with that one, and over to Angulo at first. That will finally retire the side. BYU with a 7-1 lead after 2 complete innings.
With the BYU license plates, no matter where you are, you show your Cougar spirit, and you make it possible for students to get an education. The donation you make when you get the license plates goes to support BYU scholarships. So whether spreading Cougar pride coast to coast or getting to the big game, you're also funding scholarship opportunities for BYU students.
Learn about free special plates today at alumni.byu.edu/plates.
It takes 6 years of rigorous training.
You made it back to station. Good job.
And for Tim Peake, becoming an astronaut has been his dream.
It's probably one of the hardest things you can do.
But getting to the International Space Station won't be easy.
We appear to have had a vehicle failure.
The intimate portrait of one man's journey into space.
What we're doing is very real, especially if something goes wrong.
On how to build an astronaut.
BYU Softball on BYUtv is brought to you by Emergency Essentials, 30 years of helping people prepare. The BYU Store, the official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Deseret First Credit Union, sharing your values. And by DexterLaw.com, for help when you need it most.
Into the top of the 3rd from Gail Miller Field. In Provo, Utah, BYU in control up 7-1. The Cougars scored 4 runs in the bottom of the second, all with 2 outs. And the bats that put up 18 runs in only 5 innings last night in Cedar City apparently have successfully made their way back to Provo, Utah for this non-conference in-state clash with Utah Valley. 1 ball and 1 strike to Peyton Angulo, who leads things off here in the top of the 3rd for the Wolverines. She did single in her first at bat.
She's a freshman from Upland, California. She was her high school's team's offensive MVP and helped her team to win a baseline league title in 2017.
Three and 1 to Angulo, facing Carissa Viramontes, leadoff batter for Utah Valley in the top of the 3rd, and we will go to a full count as that is fouled off left side of the screen.
Angulo came into this game with an outstanding batting average, .358. In 106 at bats, she has 38 hits, 11 doubles, a triple, and 3 home runs. So very, very good hitter.
Full count pitch, and Angulo wins that showdown with Viramontes, earning a walk. The common theme for both teams batting here tonight has been placing the leadoff batter on base. Whether it be hit by pitch, a walk, or a base hit, both teams finding success early in these innings. BYU has obviously capitalized more than the Wolverines with a 7-1 lead. Lindsey Steverson. That ball deflects off the leg of Viramontes, and a nice play by Brielle Breland to counteract that, get back to the ball in time, and underhand flip it over to Merrill at first base for 1 down. Utah Valley now has a runner on second.
Well, this ball's heading right up the middle. It goes right off the thigh of Viramontes, and luckily for BYU, goes right over to Breland, who makes a good throw to Merrill and gets the 1 out inning. But that was destined to be a base hit, and they're checking right now Viramontes, see how her leg is doing on that, being hit by that batted ball.
Pete Meredith checking on Viramontes. She says, I'm fine. 1 down, runner on second for Utah Valley. Wolverines trying to cut into a 7-1 BYU lead. Our game essentials brought to you by Emergency Essentials. For over 30 years, helping people prepare at BePrepared.com, Emergency Essentials. For Utah Valley, Gary, you laid out the fact that they'll need to battle back. Well, that rings true perhaps now more so than ever, trailing by 6 runs.
Absolutely, and you know, they fell behind in both the games of the doubleheader against Bakersfield, and they came back to win each game. So in top 4 production, they're all right in that area. They've got a couple hits there. From BYU's standpoint, success in the circle, boy, you can just see Viramontes. She's just tough when she needs to be. Runners getting in bases loaded situations, she gets out of there, and all run home. Everybody's running home. When you're running 7 runs in 2 innings, there's a lot of players crossing home plate.
Beja Query out of play, right side, out of the entire ballpark to make it 0-2. Angulo on second. Led off the inning with a walk and 1 down. That rise ball is well high. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Query had an outstanding freshman campaign for UVU. She appeared in all 40 games, started 39, and she hit .347 with 5 home runs.
And Query goes down staring at the heat on the inside corner from Viramontes. 3rd strikeout of the game for Carissa Viramontes, the starter for BYU. She's now gone 2 2/3. Has given up the 1 earned run. And hoping to be on her way to win number 17 as the starting pitcher. Or rather pitcher of record. 16-5 entering today's game. Madison Cisco with 2 outs. Trying to bring around Angulo. And that should do it. Hit well to center field. Out of here. Cisco delivers a 2-out, 2-run homer in the top of the 3rd to breathe some life into that Utah Valley dugout.
Well, that's the 7th home run of the season for Cisco. So she really hit that ball well, right in the right center area there. 220 to the wall out there. That ball is right up, belt high, right down the middle. So that pitch is kind of got away a little bit there from Viramontes, and Cisco gave it a ride about 250 feet away and brings the score down to 7-3.
'38th hit of the season for Beja Query. Correction, 48th hit of the season for Query, or Cisco rather. Bringing in that 2nd run to make it 7-3. Kaylee Bott is the batter now. 0-1 with the empty bases. And that dugout chanting from Utah Valley just a little bit more energetic and loud, understandably, after the home run to right center field.
Well, Utah Valley's been on a good streak, winning 9 of their last 11 games and finishing in 2nd place in the WAC. So just really, you know, playing some outstanding softball right now. But they're kind of running into a buzzsaw from the BYU offense. You know, when you score 13 runs in 1 game and 18 in the next game, you got 7 in the first 2 innings. I mean, there's just a whole lot of offense going on from the BYU standpoint. So the pitching staff for UVU is going to have to hold them down if they want to be competitive in this game.
Cisco gets the better of Viramontes with that 2-out, 2-run homer, but Carissa battles back for strikeout number 4. Freezing Bott. Go to the bottom of the third.
There are many reasons people prepare. They prepare because the winds blow, and the waters rise, and economies fail. But the most important reason people prepare, they prepare because they care. For over 30 years, Emergency Essentials has been helping families prepare for whatever the future brings. Learn more at beprepared.com.
He's an adventurer, and when Todd Sampson investigates people around the planet, he hacks into their world using science. But to discover the potential of the human body,
this is not good.
He'll push himself to the ultimate limit.
Hey, I'm drowning, eh?
It's a series that decodes how people survive their extreme lives and what we can learn from them. Body Hack.
BYU Softball on BYUtv is brought to you by Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. Brady Industries, honestly better. And by AAA. Learn more at AAA.com.
Our game summary presented by Deseret First Credit Union. Deseret First, your values, your timeline, your financial future. Plenty of offense through 2.5 innings between BYU and Utah Valley. 10 combined runs on 9 combined hits. The Cougars scored 4 runs in the bottom of the second, all with 2 outs. Libby Sugg powering a double down the right field line to plate her 4th RBI of the game to go along with a 3-run homer. And then the ambush would continue with the 2 outs as Bridget Fleener went opposite field, bringing in Sugg. Utah Valley answers back with 2 runs in the top of the third. That off of a home run from Madison Cisco. And here we are, 7-3. In the bottom of the third inning, Madison Merrill, the number 7 batter for BYU tonight, leading things off for the Cougars. And Merrill is facing a new pitcher for Utah Valley this inning, Lexi Sorensen, taking over for Lauren Fraley-Spendlove. One ball, 2 strikes to the leadoff batter for BYU in the bottom of the third. Merrill watches that pitch from Sorensen, miss outside to take the count to 2-2. Sorensen's numbers, 10.98 earned run average. And looking for strikeout number 22 on the season if she can handle Merrill here. The count is now full. And Maddie Merrill draws a leadoff walk.
That was a good eye. Yeah. Good eye that time, Spencer. You know, 3-2. When you look at this close, this pitch was very close, and she's able to lay off it. A little bit up in the zone, not by much, and earns a walk.
Caitlin Aldridge, who walked in her first plate appearance in the second inning.
When you have a batter as hot as Caitlin, even though this is a typical bunt situation, you're probably not going to bunt her. You're going to let her have the green light and swing away.
2-0, that misses low. Sorensen's numbers, we mentioned the 10.98 earned run average, has gone 21 innings. She just surrendered her 22nd walk of the season to Maddie Merrill. Aldridge swinging away. Fouled off right side, takes a hop off the stands and out of play. The 2-1 to Aldridge. Make it 3-1. Sorensen trying to work that momentum created offensively by the Wolverines and bring it here in the bottom of the third, but back-to-back walks to open things up. I'm sure not what she was hoping for. Brooke Vanderhyde will now come to the plate.
Well, and Lexi's last game that she's pitched was April 4th against Boise State. And in that game, she pitched 4 innings, gave up 13 hits, 12 runs, all of them earned.
Lexi Sorensen receiving some encouragement from Beja Query and her coaching staff in the circle. We'll show you the West Coast Conference standings while we have a moment. LMU doing what they needed to do, Gary.
Here's the Cougar center fielder.
11-1. They sweep their last West Coast Conference series. BYU 3 games behind in the win column. The Cougars play 3 at San Diego, while LMU will have a bye. And wait to see what the Cougars do before those two teams face off on BYUtv on May 11th and 12th.
Well, it's something we don't see very often, that BYU is not in first place after 3 series have gone by. But LMU, when they come here, if BYU wins 3 in a row and they're both 11-1 coming into the season, it'll be the best 2 out of 3 will be the conference champion.
Vanderhyde lays down a bunt. She might reach safely. She's thrown out just in time by the charging Bott. And a good defensive play to get out number 1, but BYU accomplishes what they set out to do with Vanderhyde, advancing both runners to 2nd and 3rd respectively.
Well, look how close Bott is there. I mean, really close. Comes up with it quickly, makes a perfect throw, and still, with the speed of Vanderhyde, just almost beats it out.
Kaylee Bott, the junior from nearby Spanish Fork, Utah, will not get to that one, nor will any of her teammates. Riley Jensen singles or doubles around 2 runs. Another hard hit ball into the gap in left center. BYU continuing to solve Utah Valley pitching to the opposite field. Takes 2 hops and hits the wall. Maddie Merrill scores along with Caitlin Aldridge, and it's 9-3 BYU. With 1 down in the bottom of the 3rd.
Well, Riley's going to get a new nickname. She was 2 for 3 against Southern Utah, 2 for 3 against St. Mary's in the last game. She's 2 for 3. Today we're going to call her 2 for 3.
Brielle Breland takes strike 1 from Sorensen. BYU scoring those 2 runs with 1 down, unlike the 2nd inning where they scored all 4 with 2 outs on the board. 1-1 the count now to Breland. Jensen on 2nd after driving in those 2 runs. Breland holds back at the last moment. There will be an appeal. She did not stay squared around for the strike, so it's 2-1.
You can see Kaylee Bott just smoothing the dirt over there at 3rd base. She came charging in to handle the butt, and then she had to retreat to 3rd in case the runner was stealing from 2nd to 3rd. And she put a little divot into the ground there, and she wanted to smooth that out in case the ball hit there so it wouldn't take a bad hop.
Fouled back off the bat of Breland into the screen, 2-2. This BYU team, including the 9 runs today, have now combined for 40 runs over their last 3 competitions, and this game is obviously not done yet.
And then you go to the hit column, 11 against St. Mary's, 18 last night, that's 29, and 7 today, that's 36 in the last 3 games. And we're only in the 3rd inning.
2-2 to Breland. Swung on and missed. Big strikeout for Sorensen.
Well, good pitch that time by Sorensen. Outside part of the plate, out of the strike zone. Just close enough, though, that you had to protect, and Breland goes down swinging.
Right fielder, it was Lexi Taro that got things rolling for BYU in the score column in the bottom of the second with a 2-out RBI single. And she'll try and score Jensen, which she will do. They'll go for a single right down the right field line past the diving Angulo at first. Hard hit ball on the ground, finding its way into the outfield. 10-3 BYU. The Cougars have now scored 3 here in the bottom of the third to go along with 3 in the first and 4 in the second.
And Angulo was playing right down the line. She was only about 3 feet off the line, and Taro hit it so hard that it got just underneath her glove and inside the fair ball line there. So run batted in for Taro, and Libby Sugg coming to the plate.
Libby Sugg against Utah Valley this year. 5 for 5, 2 home runs, 3 doubles, 8 runs batted in 2 games.
Those aren't bad numbers, but you know, you look at what she did to St. Mary's, 2 for 2 with 3 runs batted in. What she did to Southern Utah, 3 for 3. So she's doing it to everybody.
It only gets better for Libby Sugg, as she will single with 2 outs. BYU up 10-3 and drive Taro over to third base. Runners on the corners for Bridget Fleener.
Has a line drive up the middle, and you can see the center fielder, Cook, throws it in. And it looked like Sugg was trying to take that extra base, and she had to put the brakes on and come back because Cook got it in a hurry. So now first and third with 2 outs.
Fleener popped up out of play, slicing into the stands. The freshman 1 for 1 with a double and a run driven in. She was hit by a pitch in her first at-bat, and she is jammed inside. That is handled by Bunderson at shortstop, retiring BYU, but the Cougars tack on 3 more runs. 10 runs on 9 hits through 3, BYU in control.
When my grandfather started this company in 1947, he couldn't have envisioned what we would ultimately become. We realized that our value to our customers is that we will be there day after day, year after year, doing whatever we need to find solutions to the challenges that they face. We are committed to be honestly better in all that we do, in every opportunity that we have to serve our customers.
What we're doing, we could get hanged.
I've had the police in here asking for you.
The case is being investigated by a man called Detective Chief Superintendent Foyle.
Detective Chief Superintendent Foyle, no less.
What did he want?
He didn't tell me.
I'm telling you, he's dangerous.
Good versus evil, Arthur. That's all it boils down to. Nothing difficult about that.
Top of the 4th inning, BYU in control, 10-3 over Utah Valley. The cross-county clash between the Wolverines out of the Western Athletic Conference, BYU representing the West Coast Conference. Joining us now from the BYU dugout is the head coach of the Cougars, Gordon Eakin. Coach, we just mentioned the numbers, runs and hits over the last 3 games, and it's, in a phrase, been pretty good. What has changed for your team against St. Mary's, Southern Utah yesterday, and now Utah Valley to just kind of unleash this arsenal on offense?
Well, and we did it our last game against Pacific too. We're just in a groove offensively, and the kids are seeing the ball well, and they're getting a pitch to hit. They're zoning the ball up, making sure they get a ball to hit, and our offense has been good.
You know, Coach, Caitlin Aldridge, with the game she's had in the last, with a couple grand slams, another home run, did she find something in her swing that was, she figured out?
Well, she's a determined soul. She never gives up, and we work on it every day in practice, and you know, we've stumbled onto a few things that we thought was causing her a little bit of problem, and she's done a really good job of shortening up, and she's in a zone right now. She's really looking good.
Gordon Eakin with this. BYU leading Utah Valley 10-3. Carissa Viramontes gave up the home run in the top of the third. Other than that, she's been pretty sharp. What do you like most about her performance tonight?
Well, you know, she's not been as sharp as she's capable of being. She's thrown quite a few pitches, and we better catch that ball. Sorry, I get distracted easily.
No, understandable.
You know, she's a fighter. She came out really slow in the first inning and had a rough first inning, but she got her composure, came back well, and she's a little bit better right now through the last couple of innings, but she's still leaving some balls where they can hit them, and my suspicion is she'll get better as the game goes along if we leave her in.
A bunt is laid down by Bunderson. It got past the charging Aldridge. Good piece of hitting right there by the Utah Valley shortstop to get on base with one down here.
Not much you can do on that.
You know, Gordon, you were a shortstop, and there you look up at the scoreboard. There's no errors on there, and there was a ball hit between the shortstop's legs. Is that an error or a base hit?
Yeah, to me it's an error if it goes between your legs. You know, unless it's hit at the speed of sound.
Did you have official scorekeepers that were that good to you when you played?
Well, my mom was the official scorekeeper, so I never got out. But I think it was our hitter that hit it, and it went between the legs, so I commend the official scorer for giving us a hit on that.
Oh, outstanding stuff with the head coach of BYU, Gordon Eakin. There's one down, 0-1 the count to Brianna Moeller, who was leading off the game for Utah Valley. Back to the top of the order now against Carissa Viramontes. Finals just ended. What kind of a difference does that make for your team mentally, knowing that, hey, school's out of the way, we can just play softball for a little while?
It's nice. It's a stress relief. Our schedule is so, you know, so rigorous this time of year, with us playing a lot of games away with trying to get to better weather. And we just, when we get a little bit of a load off like school, which at BYU is a load, it's just time to breathe and play softball, and that's another reason I think we're playing well, is some of the stress is gone.
Coach, always great to talk to you. Thanks for the laughs and for the quality softball here at Gail Miller Field. We wish you the best of luck.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Skylar Cook, the batter, now with 2 outs. She just saw the comebacker to Viramontes, who went back to second to get the lead runner. And Moeller is safe at first, reaching on the fielder's choice. Well, when your mother is the scorekeeper when you're growing up.
He's funny. I tell you, that's
going to be favorable, right?
One thing that, you know, he's not only a tremendous coach, but he's got a great sense of humor. Yeah, you know, so what a great coach, fun guy to play for.
Pinch hitter for Utah Valley is Taylor Williams.
Taylor's the one we're talking about that's right behind the player that has 17 being hit by pitches. She's got 16, so she can tie. She can get hit here.
2 balls and no strikes now to Williams. Moeller on first with 2 outs. Utah Valley trailing BYU 10-3. If the score stands, BYU will need 1 run in the bottom of the 4th, then 3 outs in the top of the 5th to finalize another mercy rule victory. Of course, that's up to Viramontes and the BYU defense to maintain their 7-run lead and hold Utah Valley to the 3 runs they are currently putting up on the board. Pete Meredith into the pitcher's circle to talk things over with Viramontes about how to pitch to Taylor Williams, who now has a 2-1 count.
And there is bullpen action for the Cougars. And this probably might be the last batter for Viramontes.
Taylor Williams hasn't taken a ton of at-bats this season, just 11, but she has hit successfully in 6 of those trips for an average of 545. So quality pinch hitter right here. And the changeup from Viramontes misses high, 3-1.
As a junior last year, Taylor started all 40 games at first base and batted .280 with 3 doubles and a home run, 15 runs batted in, and drew 9 walks. So she has the ability to get on base.
3-1, Williams. Takes a good hack at that pitch. And it is foul tipped into the screen. Full count with 2 down. Moeller still on first. BYU 10 runs on 9 hits. Utah Valley 3 runs on 4 hits. The full count pitch from Viramontes to Williams with 1 on, and Williams patiently draws a walk. Peyton Angulo will come up to bat, 1 for 1.
Third baseman, Peyton Angulo.
Williams at first after drawing her first walk of the season. And Viramontes will indeed face at least one more Utah Valley batter, or so it would seem. Angulo, foul tip off the end of her bat, strike 1.
Angulo came into this game with a .358 batting average. She got a base hit to right field in the first, and she walked in the third, so she's a perfect 1 for 1 on the day.
BYU trying to close out win number 30 on the season. The Cougars entered today's game with a record of 29-20. Utah Valley into Provo with a record of 19-24. Brett Higgins, the home plate umpire, having a discussion with TJ Hubbard in his second season for the Wolverines. Gives his base runners a signal, and Angulo goes back into the box. You see the upcoming schedules on the left side of your screen for both of these teams. Final non-conference game for BYU and Utah Valley happening right now. The Cougars step back into West Coast Conference play on the road at San Diego on Friday and Saturday. Utah Valley has a conference stint with Nevada in Reno. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down. Runners on first and second for Angulo. Outside, ball 2. Moeller on second, Williams on first. 7-run BYU lead, and that is signaled for strike 2.
Well, they don't really worry about pitch count in softball, but just in case you're interested, right now, Carissa Viramontes is at 81 pitches.
3 2/3 has given up 3 earned runs, and that is right at Riley Jensen in left field, who has been Johnny on the spot on several occasions in tonight's game. The side is retired. BYU up 7, 10-3.
Growing up, I don't remember there being a lot of art and culture in Provo. 10 years ago, I was asked to be on a board to revitalize downtown. I am a co-founder and host of the Rooftop Concert Series, a summer series in downtown Provo using our own local musicians. The point is that it's really accessible. It's not only about making our downtown vibrant, but also to say Provo's changed and there is something for everybody now.
Next time on Death in Paradise.
It looks like she killed herself.
A young woman is found dead in a hostel shower.
You think this wasn't a suicide?
Humphrey does not, but he's baffled.
Nobody could have shot Sean then exited via the door.
And he's also distracted when he runs into an old acquaintance.
Humphrey! Yes.
Can Humphrey focus on solving this mystery?
Who did it and how did they do it?
Find out on Death in Paradise.
Bottom of the 4th, BYU with a 10-3 lead over Utah Valley in the final non-conference game for both of these teams. And we welcome you on this beautiful May 1st spring day to Miller Park. Wind gusting just a little bit into right field. The Cougars trying to win their 5th straight game. And Utah Valley riding a wave of confidence coming into this game as well off of a sweep of Cal State University Bakersfield. Joining us now on the headset from the Utah Valley dugout is TJ Hubbard. Coach, great to have you with us. Congratulations on your recent success in WAC play. What kind of mentality do you bring into a game like this, knowing that while you want to beat BYU, Nevada lingers out there, and then you got the WAC tournament shortly thereafter?
Yeah, we're just trying to focus on getting better, working on a few things, just making sure we're staying true to ourselves and competing every pitch. We're not trying to do anything different or out of the ordinary, just trying to stick to what we do best.
Well, Coach, you had a great series against Bakersfield. Your team kind of battled from behind on that doubleheader and won them both. Looks like you got them on the right track there. Yeah, we had a great weekend, and you know the past 3 or 4 weeks we've been playing really good softball. So impressed with the way we're competing and how we're taking each weekend series, and just looking forward to the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And there is a home run for Alexa Strid. 11-3, BYU takes the lead on the second home run of the game for the Cougars. Coach, obviously that's not what you had dialed up there defensively, but I do want to talk about the wealth of youth you have on your team. Not a ton of seniors, and you're trying to build a program that's going to compete year in and year out. Why do you feel like this is the core team that can do that for you moving forward?
Well, we just have a lot of kids that are versatile. We have a lot of kids that can play multiple positions, do a lot of different things at the plate. You know, we're blessed with a core group of kids that they'll be returning next year, and I know they're going to be better because of this year. And just looking forward to be able to build on some things moving forward. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, and just fortunate enough to have a good group of kids that will be back here next year and be ready to build on the experiences that they've been through this season.
Well, Coach, you're in a good situation right now in tournament play. You get a bye that first round. How important is that?
Well, it's huge, especially for the pitching staff. You know, we look at that situation going, you know, everyone else, at least the other 4 teams, are going to have to play 1 or 2 more games. And, you know, from a pitching perspective and just having days off or rest, it's going to put us in a good situation. So we're fortunate to have that bye.
The head coach of Utah Valley University softball, TJ Hubbard, and I want to compliment you for your composure. It's not often that a guy can watch a home run sail out and stay in the zone, Coach. There's a reason you're finding success there. That's just one of those little things you have going for you, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And Coach, I want to congratulate you. Boy, it's the best year you guys have had in a while, and second place in the conference. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Madison Merrill. Alexa Strid just went out of the park for a solo home run. The Cougars are in position to win via the mercy rule if they can maintain this 8-run lead and retire 3 outs in the top of the 5th. Madison Merrill was ready to make the call. She was already into making the call before she reached first base. Scott Wallace says now the throw beat you, and I think that was a good call.
Well, you look at the arm at time of Bunderson. Deep in the hole. Comes up throwing hard. Bang, bang play at first. Madison says first, says safe. But first base umpire Scott Wallace says, no, you're out. And as we look at that replay, very close, but it looked like the call was correct.
Caitlin Aldridge with 1 down here in the bottom of the 4th. BYU has extended their lead to 11-3. The Cougars have scored in all 4 plate appearances that they've had in this game. Our scorebox sponsor, Brady Industries, a provider of commercial cleaning supplies and equipment. Aldridge has walked in both of her trips to the batter's box today and has a 2-0 count right now with the bases empty. Finds the outside part of the plate from Sorensen, the relief pitcher for Utah Valley.
Well, it's fun talking to TJ Hubbard there. Boy, he has some great credentials. He spent 2 years as an associate head coach for Louisiana's Raging Cajun. And then was an assistant for the Big 12 Kansas Jayhawks, and he's been at North Texas. So he comes in with a lot of great experience, and I like him. He seems like a very calm demeanor and very good fundamental coach.
Aldridge now 2-2, works it to a full count. Alexa Strid hit that home run earlier this inning, her 4th of the season, pushing the Cougars to the 8-run lead they hold right now. Aldridge on the full count. Rung up for out number 2, advantage Lexi Sorensen.
Well, that time Aldridge thought that pitch was a little up in the zone. We'll take a look at it here, this replay. It looked a little high. It was a rise ball. And you can see she lays off of it there, but nice framing by Beja Query. And the reaction from the dugout from UVU was, you're out of here.
Second strikeout for Lexi Sorensen. Gordon Eakin is going to make some substitution moves. Those are in the scorebook. And you'll notice BYU is honoring Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month by wearing purple ribbons tonight, and 100 purple plastic bracelets were given out to fans here at Gail Miller Field.
Well, it's good to see Olivia Sanchez back out here. Boy, last time we saw her in a game against St. Mary's, there's a throw that was up the line a little bit, and Olivia reached out for it, and a runner came in and forced her elbow back, almost like a hyperextension there, but she's able to come back, and good to see her healthy.
Sanchez looking just fine right there. That hits off the top of the wall in right center, and that will go for a very long single. That was a laser to right center field, and because it was so well hit and didn't go out of the park, she has to settle for a single base.
Yeah, boy, was that hit on the button. Nice extension right there on the follow through. It's right at the base of the 220-foot sign out there, but the Speedy Cook, center fielder, ran it down in a hurry, got it in, and held Sanchez to just a single.
Not all hits are created equal. And Olivia Sanchez will stand by that after the most recent development from inside the batter's box. That goes about a foot and a half shy of getting out of the park, and she's on first.
Boy, you look at those numbers. Yesterday, 18 runs, 18 hits. Last game, St. Mary's, 13 runs, 11 hits. Tonight, 11 runs, 11 hits. I mean, it's just like double digit. Everywhere you look, it's double digits.
Aaron Miklas is the pinch runner for BYU on first base, taking over for Sanchez. Riley Jensen gives that a rip, and Moeller is unable to make the catch in left field. She had a lot of ground to cover, playing Jensen deep. Tried to slide in and catch that with the web facing up, and it just popped in and around her hand and arm and hits the ground. So Jensen will remain on second safe with 2 outs, and Miklas, the pinch runner, is all the way over to third.
Well, you can see how deep Moeller was playing Jensen, because she knows the power that she has. Had a long way to run for that. Gets it on the tip, inside hand part of the glove, and it pops out just a little bit.
That'll go for an error on Moeller in left field. Now, I have issue with this because if you're going to award a hit and award an error from the things that we've seen tonight, the ground ball between the legs of Bunderson is more of an error than that ball not being caught in shallow left field.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I totally agree with you, Spencer.
I'm going to go out on top, Gary. If I get your agreement, then I'm doing some good things in life. Well, let's just go ahead and end the broadcast right there. Brielle Breland is the batter. BYU leading 11-3, 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth, looking to add some more insurance runs. And by insurance, I am speaking specific to the 8-run mercy rule, which BYU is in play of completing if they can record 3 outs without giving up a run in the top of the 5th. Meaning, or I should say, if BYU doesn't score more runs here. You see that purple eye paint as well to honor Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. Breland, weekly hit grounder to second base. Steverson over to Williams at first, and the Cougars can't capitalize on the air, but they do add 1 more run thanks to a solo home run from Alexa Stritt. 11-3, the mercy rule in play as we go to the top of the 5th.
Wrapping up in a Minky Couture luxurious blanket. Getting cozy with family and friends. A gift for everyone. Minky Couture, official luxury blanket of BYU Athletics.
Next time on Hinterland.
The victim's name is Owen Bainon, lawyer.
A wealthy man is killed in his home.
What was taken from the house? A pair of antique shotguns.
Matthias thinks the guns may hold the key.
Lovely looking things. Expensive too.
But when a suspect is investigated, a body is found.
I warned you about that boy.
And a local mob wants justice.
You need to get your facts straight before you do something you might regret.
Hinterland.
BYU Softball on BYUtv is brought to you by Emergency Essentials, 30 years of helping people prepare. The BYU Store, the official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Deseret First Credit Union, sharing your values. And by DexterLaw.com for help when you need it most.
Our Deseret First Credit Union game summary brought to you by Deseret First. BYU has given up 3 runs, 1 in the first, 2 in the third, but have managed 11 runs to keep this offensive wave rolling, Gary Scheide. The Cougars scored 3 in the first, 4 in the second, 3 in the third, and the solo home run from Alexis Strid in the fourth to bring us to double-digit runs at 11.
You know, Spencer, when you score every inning, it puts so much pressure on the opposing team, because look at UVU, they did a nice job. They got 1 in the first, they got 2 in the third, but they trail 11-3. So that's what happens when BYU, their hitters are relentless and they're seeing the ball so well now. They're playing some of their best softball that they've played all year.
Lindsey Steverson leading things off, the cleanup batter for Utah Valley. Carissa Viramontes still the pitcher for BYU. 15-6. Earlier in the broadcast, I said she was 16-5, so slight adjustment there. She has 15 wins, 6 losses in 21 games as the pitcher of record. She is searching for win number 16 here and is 3 outs away because BYU leads by 8. If the Cougars lead by 8 or more after the opponent has had at least 5 trips to the plate, then the mercy rule is invoked. But a 3-0 count here to Steverson. Taking all the way for strike 1 from Viramontes.
She had a great year last year as a freshman. 2 times she was the WAC hitter of the week, and she hit 8 home runs during a 7-game stretch in mid-March. So tremendous power for Steverson.
3-1, inside corner, strike 2, and Viramontes has battled back for a full count. Leadoff batter for the Wolverines in the top of the 5th, trailing 11-3. Change up and a beauty. Steverson goes down swinging, 1 down.
Boy, Viramontes really does have a good changeup, but she hasn't used it much in this game. You can see how effective it is. Ahead in the count, 3-2. Watch this. You have the ability and confidence to throw that changeup a little bit down in the zone. But Steverson was way ahead of it. A really nice pitch by Viramontes.
Beja Query, rise ball high and inside for ball 1. BYU trying to close out victory number 30 of the 2018 season. Query gets a hold of that ball. Home run territory if it were foul, but it flies out well left of the pole, and it's 1-1.
Beja's got 4 home runs on the year, and you can see, boy, she turned on that ball. I was way out of here, but just swung a little bit early on it.
Ball and a strike to Query with 1 down, bases empty. Strike on the inside corner once again, Viramontes. Going to that inside part of the plate on a frequent basis. Now ahead in the count at 1-2. Query. Swinging at anything that's even remotely close in the zone to stay alive. Count still at 1-2.
first inning, Query struck out looking. In the third inning, she struck out looking.
And Viramontes has a ball hit off her once again, and it deflects to Merrill just like it did the first time. Allie Hancock in playing defense at first base in place of Brielle Breland. Well, Viramontes has taken a couple of shots here today.
Yeah, BYU players are going to be a little bit sore after that game. She took one shot on the left thigh, and that was pretty close, just a little bit lower on the thigh. And a couple players have been hit. And you can just see Viramontes, though. You know, these girls are so tough. They just shake it off. And the coach comes out to, talk to her, and they're all smiling. And these girls, I'm telling you, they're tough.
Brielle Breland making the play after it deflected off of Viramontes on the line drive to Hancock at first base. 2 outs, bases empty. BYU 1 out away of closing out Utah Valley in just 5 innings, 11-3. BYU against the in-state foes have been really strong. In fact, before a 4-2 loss against Utah State, you watched it on BYUtv last week, they had not lost to an in-state foe. They are 6-1. Entering today's game, and 1 out away from going to 7-1. There will be a pitching change by Pete Meredith. He has seen enough from Viramontes taking or being pelted by the ball, and Autumn Moffitt is going to come in and try and earn the save here, the freshman for the Cougars, who has seen plenty of starting pitching experience in her first year as a BYU Cougar.
Well, BYU's got a very tough series coming up. Doubleheader on Friday at San Diego. And it's not worth, the risk is not worth the reward with keeping Viramontes out there anymore. She's taken 2 shots in the leg. She'll have a couple bruisers there. And they're going to need her in the San Diego series to be strong and be healthy. So you're just going to bring in Moffitt here and try to get the last out.
Autumn Moffitt in her freshman season, 4.24 earned run average, 79 in the 3rd inning, 62 strikeouts. She's 6-6 as the pitcher on record. And she will face Madison Cisco, designated player who hit a 2-run home run in her last at-bat in the top of the 3rd inning. Moffitt has 1 save this season, looking for number 2 right here. She's behind in the count, 2-0. Cisco on the ground. Strid from shortstop over to Hancock at first, and that is the ball game. BYU wins 11-3, and the offense continues to shine for the Cougars over the last week. BYU has scored 11 in today's game, 18 yesterday, and 13 against St. Mary's for a total of 42 runs over their last 3 games.
And 40 hits. So, and a lot of these hits have been home runs, grand slams, and it's just been a hitting parade for BYU. And I remember one game they'd asked Coach Edwards when they were playing a football game at a bowl game. They said, "Do you have any parade All-Americans when they're playing Florida State?" He says, he says, "I don't know if anybody's ever been to a parade." He says, "But here, BYU, you've got a number of players here that contribute right throughout the entire lineup." And here you see Strid, the clinching home run in the bottom of the 4th inning here. So as a team effort, I mean, these girls have just been tremendous lately, and they're getting hot at the right time.
Our Dexter and Dexter play of the game, brought to you by Dexter and Dexter for help when you need it most. Visit DexterLaw.com. Alexis Strid delivering the game-winning home run. Our AAA MVP, brought to you by AAA. What does your insurance do when it's not doing insurance? It should do more. Learn more at AAA.com. Libby Sugg has been the thorn in the side of Utah Valley softball, particularly this season. 6 for 6, including 3 for 3 today. 4 runs batted in, a double, and a 3-run home run to start the scoring for BYU.
Well, in the last 8 at-bats for Libby Sugg, She's a perfect 8 for 8. Nobody can get her out. So, you know, it's one of those things when a player gets hot, boy, you just ride that hot bat, and it kind of affects the rest of the hitters on the team too. BYU wins a 5th straight game. They are 30-20 and rolling as they go to San Diego this weekend, back into West Coast Conference play. Utah Valley into Reno as they continue play in the WAC. Final score from Miller Park: BYU 11, Utah Valley 3. For Gary Scheide and every member of our fantastic BYU TV sports crew, I am Spencer Linton saying good night from Miller Park. It's another Cougar winner.
Have a car wreck? Martin's Collision Repair.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
You don't find views like this very many places in the world, and they're all close by the Ramada of St. George. A stay at Ramada, with breakfast included, can make day trips to some of the Earth's greatest wonders part of your